everyone. Thanks for watching Spiritual View. I'm Christina.
I'm Bisma.
I'm Christine.
And I'm Carlene.
And today we're going to do our second series on spirit guides. We're going to talk about the ways that we connect with our guides and our angels. The first video, we talked about the different types of guides and our experiences and what they are and everything. And today we're going to talk specifically about how we can make those connections stronger. So, Carlene.
Sure. So I think one of the ways that I actually had my guides validated to me is getting a reading. You know, you might have some inkling or some idea of who your guides are, but when somebody else tells you about them, it's kind of like, oh yeah, that sounds very familiar. And I had somebody tell me about my guides. We usually have a couple of them, at least 2 or 3, if not more. And one of the things that she said was that I have one that's a little bit mischievous and likes to make me do things where I just have to laugh at myself. And that was so true. I do find myself sometimes when I'm alone doing like the randomest, like something really strange will happen, and I just have to like stop and just laugh at myself because you can't take yourself too seriously. And I know that is my guide putting that in front of me to kind of just like shake me out of my whatever concentrated mode. So that's one way. I don't know if you guys have other ways that you've connected with your guides. Meditation's another really great one. If you meditate and you, I guess, put the intention of meeting your guide, and usually you might get some feelings or images, and if you ask for a name, they can give you a name, and you can just have a conversation with them. And in that, they can come to you in your dreams too, or I know you have a really interesting way of connecting with yours.
Yeah, well, so in my hypnotherapy practice, we actually have like a protocol where we use guides in our healing in everyday life, and they're not always our like master guide, but they're energies that we can channel to help us through challenges in our life or to have a different perspective. So like other shoes we get stepped into. And we kind of help people to find the space to bring over a guide. And we do it very much like meditation, because that's basically what the hypnosis is. And we'll just set the intention and list the qualities of what we need in our life to be guided with. And then we allow the client to see what appears, to feel what appears, and explain it, and make a connection with this guide. And I know you're going to talk about this, but I don't know if like the calling card.
Yeah.
And part of that is when the guide comes forward, we discover if there's a color, a picture, an image, or a feeling in the body that they bring with them. And that is their way of communicating to you that they're wanting to communicate to you or guide you through your life when you're in the middle of a busy day and you're like, I don't know what to do next, and your guide's like wanting to help you out. They'll signify you with this calling card, and in the session we'll determine what that is, and we'll say at this time let your guide share with you what it is that they want to signify to you when they're present. And that might be like a tap on the shoulder, a tingling on the head, it could be a color behind your eyes, it could be a feeling of joy. I mean, it could be so many.
Or an animal's showing up.
Yeah, if it's a power animal. It could be a lot of different signs. So we establish that relationship so that going forward, the client has their own therapist basically all the time. And so it's very empowering for the person to tap into an energy that they can do for themselves instead of looking outside themselves for it. And
You personally do automatic writing.
yeah, and my personal discovery of really building deepening my relationship with my guides has been through automatic writing, which I think we might have talked about in the Claire series when we talked about claircognizance. But I basically started to feel, I have a guide that gives me pressure on the top of my head, And I was feeling that one day, and so I went to meditate, and I was meditating, and I just heard, grab a pen and paper, and so I did, and I kind of got the idea that they wanted me to clear my mind and just allow what came to me to write down. And I started to write down like 3 words, and then I would hear another 3 words, and then I would hear another 3 words, and then it was coming really fast. But it was like I didn't know the whole sentence, so it was like when I was doing it, I wasn't really like hearing it clearly. I was conscious. Some people are trance mediums and they lose consciousness when they do this work. I was very conscious when I was doing it, but when I looked back at my work and I read it, it was very much not my language. It was very much more poetic and just beautifully stated, and it was really encouraging, loving, nurturing information that I wrote. And I truly believe that I was channeling a guide. I was channeling a consciousness or an energy of intelligence, and I was doing it through automatic writing. And anyone can practice that, even if it's just trying to push your conscious mind aside and just writing the first things that come to your mind. Oh, I'm thinking about pushing my mind aside. Oh, I'm noticing the color of this pencil. It's a pretty blue. And just keep writing whatever's coming to you, and then just keep doing it. And the more you practice, the better you will be able to just channel your guide onto paper, which is really fun. Yeah.
All right. Well, one way that I really connect with my guides is through dreams, and they usually somehow pop up in dreams, or I'll put the intention out before I go to bed that, please guide me in this, or whatever that may be. And they kind of show up, and I've seen quite a few different guides. And it's funny because I can see like the way they stand, or just kind of like their outline. Sometimes I see their face and the way they look, which is just a representation of the energy. And one really interesting experience that happened to me when I was in high school was, so my spirit guide came to me in my dream. He grabbed my attention by some like really dramatic scenes that happened in my dream, and then I was facing him, and he just told me, he was really tall, and I didn't really look at his face. He was kind of looking to the side, and he was talking directly to me, like in a very stern but sweet voice, and he was just telling me, go throw peanuts in the lake. And I remember waking up, he said that like a few times, and I remember waking up thinking, what does that mean? And I remember in the dream I saw like a lake and these trees surrounding the lake, and it was a really beautiful lake, and I was thinking, I have to go do that. And so many times guides can come in and maybe like symbolically also share, and sometimes it can be very literal. It's just what you feel, how you like what that means to you, because they know how to connect with you since they're your guides. So the more you open up, the more you share what message means what to you, or communicate and go back and forth, the more you guys will the more guides and you will like be able to bond and allow the messages to be interpreted more clearly, I guess you could say. So yeah, that's a really cool way and a very open way to connect with your guides, since you're in your dream world.
Yeah, that's a great. So meditation, hypnotherapy, automatic writing, dreams, those are all awesome ways that we can communicate with our guides and make our connection stronger with them. You mentioned the calling cards. It's a fun one to just practice sitting in your power and ask one of your guides to come forward at a time and sit with that, see if you notice anything, and then ask them to take a step back, and then ask another guide to come forward, and continue to do that and see what you get. It's just a fun exercise to practice and explore. And then other just simple day-to-day life things that you can do to connect with your guides. Just creating a really loving space in your home, candles,
Having
routines, crystals, incense, bright light, just anything that keeps your mood elevated and keeps you in that space of joy and happiness and peace will help you have a clearer head and stay connected, to be aware to signs, from your guides and your angels. Angel numbers, There's
Yeah, we
lots of
talked about
different ways.
synchronicity,
Yeah,
too.
synchronicity, angel numbers, lots of ways that they'll communicate with you and drop little tidbits of information throughout your daily life that you might not necessarily pay attention to or notice if you're up in your head or you're upset about something or whatever's going on. So,
Having this deck of cards, I don't know if you've seen, there's so many different kinds now
oracle
that,
cards and
that kind of
lesson cards and
kind of point you in the direction of things that you should be taking a look at in your life. That's a great way for your guides to kind of point things out to you.
yeah, for sure. That's I do that almost every night.
Yeah.
I love my cards. So those are just fun ways. Those are really, simple ways, or if you are a little bit more experienced, then you can take it to the next level and you can try the meditation experiments exercises or automatic writing, and you can really get some in-depth messages from your guides and your angels. They're always there. They're with you all the time, whether you know it or not. So
do we want to share like personal experiences?
sure, yeah. I had an experience just a couple days ago. We were sitting in circle and we did a guided meditation to meet one of our guides, and I kind of, for some reason, have, when I have meditations or I do meditation or I have dreams or something, I see myself outside my body. It's how it's been since I was a kid. So I can see myself in whatever's going on. And so we had our backs to each other, and this man, tall, kind of resembled Gandalf or whatever his name is from Lord of the Rings. From behind, with the long silver hair and the robe and the little staff walking stick thing, and he had his arm around me, and we were looking out over this lake area, and it was woodsy, and it was really cool. And I've also recently discovered that the wolves are my spirit animals. That was cool. I was doing that, and this wolf was lurking and watching me in the background of the forest.
Is that for meditation too?
Yeah. So it's really fun. You can learn a lot about yourself and a lot about your guides doing this kind of stuff. So,
And like I don't know if we talked about this in the last video, but like the spirit guides, like there's a lot of different ways to understand what they are, but they're like all part of us. Like we're all part of each other. So the wizard is like, could be seen as part of Christina's consciousness that she's now tapping into, or is up for her right now in her life.
and they also just kind of show themselves to you in images and archetypes that you would naturally be comfortable with, or that you would understand, or so they'll present themselves in different ways.
Yeah, I don't feel like they'd want to scare you or anything like that. So
For sure.
Yeah, and like a lot of times they, you can ask the question, like a lot of times in guided meditations they'll say, what is your name? A lot of times people don't get a name, and my personal conversations with my guides, and also in reading other people's channeled work, names are kind of like a human thing that we do to want to like put a label to everything. And so they'll give us a name, but sometimes they don't want to give you a name because they're not an individual, they're a group consciousness, or they're something else.
At the beginning, for me, connecting to spirit guides, it was very frustrating for me because I'm very much like that. I want to know stuff. I want to identify things. It's just kind of my safety net, and it's how I work.
Yeah.
So it was really hard for me at the beginning with my spirit guides and tapping into all this and trying to figure it out. Because I'm like, okay, if I'm going to be meeting somebody, I want to know about them. I want to see your face. I want to, it's just, that's how I work. So that was really frustrating, and it was really hard. But the lesson, looking back on it, at that time I needed to more focus on the energy that was involved with the spirit guide, and to focus on tapping into that and recognizing that, and just focusing on that. Now with that guide that I met a couple days ago, he gave me a name, and that was one of the first times I've actually gotten a name.
Wow.
So, you kind of graduate to different levels the more you do this. They'll give you information as you're ready for it. So,
I just wanted to touch that. Be open and aware. In the beginning, usually spirit guides connect very subtly. So just make sure you know what's going on in your body, in your mind, whatever thoughts are coming through, sensations, where your gaze is going. Everything is is important, and it's a connection, so you just have to build on that. Sometimes people get it, like the connection's super strong right away, and sometimes for some people
takes a little
it
bit of
takes
time.
some time
That's okay.
to be aware.
You kind of shared a little bit of a story, but do you want to share another story of the spirit guide?
I think that's the one the one that's standing out to me most right now. I've had different stories like that in my dreams, but that one was very strong.
Obviously, it was a good one.
Still trying to figure out what story I want to share. I think I'm gonna share a story about my automatic writing because I feel like I already talked about that. I've done a lot of different writings, and I usually have some intention before I do automatic writing, like I need guidance on this in my life right now. Please come forward and share the highest good guidance that you can for me. You know, I always kind of put guidance for my highest good, you know, out there because I want to be able to track the highest vibrational guidance. And you also want to make sure that you are in a good place when you're doing the automatic writing because you're going to attract the same energy that you're emitting. So that's why meditating is good because it's like a reset neutrality button, usually, hopefully. But so in my writing, I have had several different names come forward, and I don't even really feel like they are necessarily spirit guides for me. They just like answered my question, which was interesting. And I even like got even deeper in a connection that I have with what I believe is a guardian angel for me. I started to say, well, what are angels supposed to do for us? And I have like this really long writing about what my angel was saying that angels do for us. And they talked about synchronicities, and they talked about how they guide us. It's like this pre-contract before we're born to help guide us in our life, to keep us true to what we're trying to learn in this life. And also that we have free will, and so they can't give us answers. They can't give us direct answers by saying, what are the lottery numbers for tomorrow? You know, they're not going to tell us that if that's not for our highest good, if that goes against what we're here to learn. So they explained how they are like, they're gentle nudgers. They give us subtle signs. They give us encouragement and remind us of our potential and of who we are, that we are creators in our reality. And so you can dive into, like I dove into like what are angels, and I had a really deep conversation with them about it, and it was really cool. And then, you know, I've done some research since about what angels are, and it's funny because like everything I've read about what other people are channeling, it's in alignment with what I got, so it just kind of validates it even more, which is really cool.
So the message is coming out in very different ways to different people, but the same message.
Yeah.
Collective unconscious.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So that's just one thing I want to put out there is like you can't get like direct answers all the time to problems because you have to be able to make your own choice and your own decisions, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
that's a consistent message I get.
Yeah, it's important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have a story? Or did you already share one?
I already shared one.
Okay.
I mean, I have others, but you know, it's just about what you need at the time. You know that you have your, you know, spirit guides, and they have your back,
Mm-hmm.
and feel free to call on them when you need to.
Mm-hmm.
They are only going to help you out, and the more that you practice with it, the more that they're going to come through for you.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, just have fun with it and like let go of like expectations, because the more expectation you have, the more like you're in your ego mind and you're resisting that connection. It's really just I'm open to experiencing what I experience without judgment, because when I expect to see and like get a name and get a certain message and an answer to my question, that can block the connection.
So it's kind of like a, you know, even though as a child, you know, you would ask all these questions and you can't get your answer because the adult is just like, you know, those aren't answerable, or you're not seeing the whole picture. You don't really know
Yeah.
enough to make or get an answer. That's kind of where we are in this world. And our spirit guides are kind of like, they see the bigger picture, And so they're going to guide us in a way that's going to help us and not necessarily always give us what we need or we want, I should say.
Yeah.
They will give us what we need, but not what we necessarily want.
Yeah.
So just be open to that, and know that it's in your best interest and for your good. Higher good.
Yeah, to open up and to be more connected with love and
Yeah. I was going to say something, but I think I said it in the last video, so I'm not going to say. I was just going to say that the other thing about like spirit guides is when you look at people that do intuitive work for a living, I think I did say this in the last video, they always mention spirit guides. Like people say, well, are spirit guides real? What are they? Are they, fabrications of my mind? Are they actual other entities? Are they good? Are they bad? And all these questions go into it. And really, it's like, whatever you believe, whether it's part of you or something outside of you, or if it's your higher guide, or if it's just like a channeling energy, all of it is useful. If it helps you in your life, why not try it out? It's very mental for us to try to figure out what it is and why and all that stuff. But it is very commonly seen as these spirit guides come, like what people call spirit guides, coming forward for people that do intuitive work, that get information from the unseen world, and they are their mediators between the physical world and the spirit world. So if you wish to examine, touching into your intuition and kind of merge in between the unseen and seen worlds, building a relationship is really helpful to understand that and to understand the bigger picture. Yeah.
Okay. Spirit guides. They're there for you.
What'd you say?
I said spirit guides, they're there for you.
They're there
always
for you.
there for you.
Yeah.
So, well, thanks for joining us, and
you.
we'll see you next time.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.